8 players were ejected from last night's Stanley Cup Finals game with a 10-minute misconduct penalty. And all of that behavior was started by the Edmonton Oilers, a team that may be extending Canada's more than 30-year drought of winning the Stanley Cup. The last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup in the NHL was the Montreal Canadiens in 1993. And as of last night, the Edmonton Oilers are now down 2-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers. And last night's game was admittedly pretty brutal. The Edmonton Oilers ended up losing 6-1 to the Florida Panthers. And this is after 2 opening games that were pretty neck and neck. Both of the first 2 games of this series went to overtime, and game 2 actually went to double overtime before being resolved. So objectively, these 2 teams have felt pretty well matched, but you can always tell the true core of a team by the way they lose. And last night, when they were losing pretty bad in the 3rd period, they decided, let's just get into fisticuffs. To try to go through all of the different incidents that happened in this game would be the length of last night's game, but a couple of standouts included the Oilers trying to start a fight at the end of the 2nd period, Evander Kane slashing one of the players on the Florida Panthers, when said player was already on the ice because he had just been slashed by another Oiler, and at one point a member of the Florida Panthers was held by one Oiler while another Oiler hit him in the face. But all of that pales in comparison to the melee that broke out with about 9.5 minutes left in the 3rd period. The Oilers center Trent Frederick pretty much started the fight after a pretty aggressive cross-checking, which not only started a fight between those 2 players, but a number of other pairs across the ice. In the end, we had 8 players completely removed from the game because they received 10-minute misconduct penalties that went longer than the remaining gameplay, and at the end of the game we saw the Oilers kind of try to continue fighting. And frankly, this is a tactic that we sometimes see in hockey. When a team is getting a brutal loss, their hope is that they can kind of physically intimidate the other team into playing worse next game. But if Brad Marchand playing with the rats that were thrown on the ice after the game was anything to go by, I really don't think it worked. Also, if you're not aware, the rats on the ice thing is a time-honored tradition. Many NHL teams throw things on the ice after a win in the Stanley Cup Finals, and for the Florida Panthers, that thing is rats. One of my favorite moments after the game was actually seeing Marchie duck back and forth as his teammates playfully hit rats at him like they were pucks. But the thing about this overall is that tensions have been high between these 2 teams. They've both been playing very physically, and last night seemed to just be a little bit of a bubble over in terms of behavior from the Oilers. At one point, we even saw one of the players on the Oilers trying to squirt the other team's bench with his water bottle, and hitting some of the broadcasters in the process. As someone who is rooting for the Panthers by way of the fact that the Edmonton Oilers beat my team, the LA Kings, it was kind of beautiful to watch them lose it last night. But in the name of good hockey and getting to watch an evenly matched series, hopefully we see Edmonton kind of get it together for the last couple games of this series. But what did you think about last night's game? Do you enjoy physical intimidation when it comes to hockey in this way? And do you think we should ever be in a situation where 8 players end up being ejected from a game? And of course, who are you rooting for to take home that Stanley Cup?